months of intensive short track competition, the great V8s have returned to horsepower heaven this weekend. The scenic splendour of Mount Panorama Bathurst is simply superb. So too is the smooth 6.2km crop of blacktop, which winds its way up, over and down the hill of skill. This is where legends are born. Men who have answered the challenge and won against the odds on the first Sunday in October. What was once a day-long marathon is now a Sunday sprint, but that's technology. The 7 Network proudly welcomes viewers around the world to Bathurst.
Thank you, Lee. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mount Panorama for 7 Sports' exclusive coverage of the great race. Well, after what can only be described as a dramatic lead-up, this year's Bathurst 1000 looks set to be one of the most fiercely contested in the race's 32-year history at the mountain. Ford and Holden have shared 27 victories at the great race, 15 going to Holden, 12 to Ford. But unlike last year, Ford now is set to throw down the gauntlet. Gary Wilkinson joins us once again. Wilco, it didn't happen last year, but it could this year.
Oh, it's going to happen this year. The competition is the closest and the fiercest it has ever been for the great race here at Mount Panorama in all of its history, going back to 1963.
It snowed here on Tuesday. It was rather hot yesterday, and blow me down, it was raining when we arrived this morning, and here's our forecast.
Oh, yeah, if we can see it there, isolated showers, some of which we've already had. Gale warning for high grounds. Well, I can tell you that applies to Mount Panorama. I mean, it's high ground, all right. The gales haven't arrived quite yet, and the temperature range 5 up to 22 degrees, and those isolated showers have already taken a toll in the warm-up.
So it could make for an interesting day. Well, yesterday's Tui's top 10 runoff had all the ingredients of a bestseller, with Peter Brock, Dick Johnson, Mark Scaife and Glenn Seaton all ready to carve their names into a piece of motor racing history. The Fords are back in a big way at Bathurst. Yesterday, Henry's Marquee produced a combination of cheers and tears as the top 10 finalists went for broke.
The Mazda MX-6 pace car brought out the field for Tui's top 10, giving the fans on top of the mountain a chance to cheer on their favourites. Tony Longhurst was the first to face the clocks in the Benson and Hedges Commodore, and his lap was near perfect, opening the batting with a 2:12.754 to turn up the pressure on those waiting in the queue. Wayne Gardner came out second in the Coke Commodore and looked to be on his way to an even faster lap. But a little too much correction at the cutting cost him a little, and he finished with a 2:12.967.
Yeah, I tried hard, but I got a little bit on 2 wheels through the dipper, which really upset the car.
The Jones boys were the next out. Alan up first in the Peter Jackson Falcon. AJ was hopeful of bettering his Friday mark, but he was marginally slower, a 2:13.127, but no big deal.
The car feels really good, so I don't know where I'll end up in the top 10, but I'm sure happy with it for the race.
Brad Jones signalled the first attack by the Telecom HRT boys. Most of the guys believed they would be in the 12s, but like AJ, Brad landed in the 13s with a 5.12. If your name is Brock, you command respect at Mount Panorama, which is why the cheers started early for Perfect Pete. Previous times had dipped into the 13s, but there was some sting left in the King. Brocky reeled off a 2:12.363 to jump to the top of the qualifiers and show everyone he means business here this weekend.
Yeah, parts were very quick. I really got it together at the top of the mountain. Missed a gear shift over here and a couple of little things, but, you know, obviously it's a time I could be pretty happy with.
Last year's pole victor in 1000 winner Larry Perkins was next in the Castrol Commodore. His lap was also perfect by the textbook, but again not as fast as his Thursday best at 2:13.233.
It was all sort of smooth, about as good as we'd do. Only way you go quicker is if it drips better, but we all want that.
Then it was time to feature those aboard a Ford. Alan Grice was 7th to hit the track in the 18 Shell FAI Falcon, and the 2-time Great Race winner cut a 2:13.195. Team owner Dick Johnson took the controls of the 17 Ford and was making good time until he miscued at the cutting, giving the wall a kiss on the exit and virtually kissing goodbye to a shot at the first 4 rows. Needless to say, he was unimpressed.
I had everything going for him and I screwed up.
Then it boiled down to 2. Mark Scaife, the Shell Australian champion, came out blazing in the Winfield Commodore. This guy just loves the odd mono job, and in most of the turns he was on 3 and sometimes 2 wheels. Despite saving on the tyres, Scaife was safe at 2:12.364 and second only to Brocky.
Well, obviously we'd like to be fastest, but it's about as good as we could do.
The Winfield Commodore, how's it feeling?
Fantastic, really good. I think it'll be a very tough race tomorrow.
9 down and 1 to go. Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon. After a bad start to the defence of his national title, the baby-faced assassin is hungry these days. He has set the pace at the mountain all week, and his lap yesterday was no different. Pacey and precise. Seaton stopped the clocks at 2:12.146, his first Panorama pole, and fitting reward for the Peter Jackson team. How does that feel, son?
Oh, fantastic, Mike.
How long have you been trying to get that one up?
A bloody lot of years. I've never got it up, that's the thing.
Well done, mate.
Really, thanks, Alan.
Great.
Glenn, that car looks like it's handling on rails.
Oh, it's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. It's been brilliant all week. The team's done a great job, and it's just a matter of kicking that hoodoo tomorrow.
You'll do that, mate.
Well, you got the first part of it all right. Just turn around to the left so our viewers can see you. There you go. Well, you're a happy boy, and I'd say the team are ready to celebrate with you, but you got some more. You're breathing a little heavily, son.
Oh, I tried pretty hard.
How much does it take out of you? I mean, we can understand the concentration.
Well, naturally, Mike, it's more the concentration than the fitness side of it, really, because you're just concentrating on the whole lap, and you're just trying to make sure you don't make too many mistakes, and as well as push the car as hard as you can. But
well, you did that.
Listen, we're all proud of you.
Thank you, mate.
Well done, son. So here's how the top 10 will line up today in the Tooheys 1000. Position 10 to Dick Johnson in the Shell FAI Falcon. 9, the 015 Telecom Commodore of Brad Jones and Craig Lowndes. From 8, it's the winning combination of Larry Perkins and Greg Hansford in the Castrol Commodore. 7, and worth watching, a Cooper Owl and Junior Johnson in the number 18 Shell FAI Falcon. 6, the first of the Peter Jackson Falcons with Alan Jones and David Parsons. Position 5, and in with a big chance, the Coca-Cola Commodore of Wayne Gardner and Neil Crompton. 4 is the Benson and Hedges Commodore of Tony Longhurst and Queenslander Charlie O'Brien. Position 3, the Winfield Team Commodore of Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. From 2, guess who? Peter Brock and Thomas Mazzera in the Telecom Mobile Commodore. And the guy who stole pole, Glenn Seaton and World Cup winner Paul Radisich from New Zealand in the Peter Jackson Falcon. Take your pick and good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Glenn Seaton was smiling yesterday. Gee, if he wins today, he'll have a grin on his face for the next 12 months. Well, Gary Wilkinson is a veteran here at Bathurst, but so too is Mike Raymond. He's heading up our commentary team once again this year. Mike, welcome back to Bathurst.
Thank you very much, Sandy. You know, a great elation here yesterday for Glenn Seaton getting his first Panorama pole, and terrible sadness here on Thursday with one of the few fatalities that have occurred at Mount Panorama associated with the Great Australian Race. And Don Watson, who has been one of the privateers to the forefront this year, Don drove production cars for a couple of years, stepped into a Larry Perkins built Commodore for this year, and was a battler, so to speak, at the tail end of the field, loved his motor racing, and unfortunately passed away here as a result of losing control of his car on Thursday. So it's been quite a sad start to the week, and elation yesterday for Glenn Seaton. But let me tell you, for all you viewers right around Australia and New Zealand, we have a major weather problem at Mount Panorama this morning. And that is when we arrived at the circuit, it was overcast. Then the rains arrived just before the cars went out on the warm-up. And Kieran Perkins, who needs no introduction, putting on his Mazda Motorsport jacket, stepping into the pace car, he wanted to do one thing. He's back from the Commonwealth Games and the World Championships, and he just wanted to drive the pace car. And this is exactly what greeted the drivers this morning. Very, very wet indeed. Peter Brock, 05, and as you can see, a little of the mist getting in there, and this happened. Craig Lowndes in the 015 Telecom Mobile machine wound up in the wall, and then not long after that, Wayne Gardner driving the Coca-Cola Commodore, car number 4, also got into the side of the wall on the exit. There you can see. So 2 of the leading drivers are facing a lot of work before the 10 o'clock start this morning, Sandy.
What does the future hold for motorsport in Australia? Well, the good news is there are a number of young guns all set to step into the breach. 1972, and Peter Brock wins his first Bathurst crown. The young guns of today's motorsport weren't even a glint in their mother's eyes. 22 years on, and while Brock is now chasing his 10th Enduro title, the new kids on the block are set to make their mark on the mountain. One of them is 20-year-old Craig Lowndes. The 1993 Formula Ford champion has won a spot alongside Brock in the Holden racing team.
Peter's been really good. He sat down with me last night, and obviously, before I sat down with Chris, and obviously the computer shows me where I'm losing, but with Peter, it gives me on-track information, and he's helped me a lot.
Another of the new breed is Cameron McConville, who 12 years ago, at the tender age of 8, made a decision that would shape his career path.
I actually started playing football before I raced karts, and I think it was the Tackers or the under-8s or something, and I was named on the bench for the grand final, and I also had a go-kart race on that weekend, so I decided to throw the footy boots away and start in the go-karting.
This is McConville's second tilt at the mountain. He debuted in the Shell racing team, gaining invaluable experience from the likes of Dick Johnson.
He was great, and actually John Bow was fantastic too, and the whole team was great, and John Bow still offers a lot of feedback, setting up the car and also, driving around this track, which you just never stop learning here.
Dick Johnson's son Steve is in a unique position. The 20-year-old rookie will be driving his father's second Ford Falcon, partnering times winner Alan Grice.
Well, I had my first drive around in the test day, and I've come down to the dipper, and geez, this is pretty tight down this section. It's a lot tighter than what you normally do in a road car, because I've been around here many times in a road car. It's a very daunting track, and I'm going to have to treat it with a lot of respect.
All young drivers who take on the mountain do so with their family's blessings, but that doesn't stop them worrying, especially their mothers.
I ran a festival in the Formula Ford once, and I had, well, that was my worst crash I've ever had. It actually happened right in front of her, and she's sort of been a little bit wary of coming out.
I think she was a little bit nervous to start with, but I think now that she knows I'm fairly cautious in a car and I can do the job properly, I think that's, played into my hands a little bit.
Other young hopefuls anxious to tackle the mountain include Victorian medical student Belinda Price and son of 87 race winner Peter McLeod, Ryan, driving in the NZ Commodore. The wonderful thing about being young is that you have little or no idea of the meaning of the word fear.
The young ones have got the blood and don't have much fear, and it's true. We like to extend and go beyond the limits if we can.
I'm fairly cautious out on the track at the moment, actually, not only for my own sake, but I do respect how much money it does cost to run one of these cars, and particularly Dad this year.
So time to have a look at the full grid. It's Glenn Seaton and Paul Radisich off pole here today, with Peter Brock and Thomas Mazzero from 2. Then it's Mark Scaife, Jim Richards from 3, Tony Longhurst, Charlie O'Brien from 4, and Wayne Gardner, Neil Crompton from 5. From 6, it's of course the Peter Jackson Falcon of Alan Jones and David Parsons. Then from 7, Alan Grice and Junior Johnson. From position number 8, last year's winning combo, Larry Perkins and Greg Hansford. From 9, Bradley Jones and Craig Lowndes, and rounding out the top 10, Dick Johnson, John Bow.
From 11, car 7, the Percy Ingold Coca-Cola Commodore. From 12, car 6, Bond and Olofsson. 13, car 10, Warden Ellery in the Commodore. From 14, car 24, Crick and Scott in the Pinnacle Motorsports car. And from 15, car 3, the Privateers, Reed and Ashby.
start in the Xerox shop. Commodore out of position number 36. Iob and Conway start out of 37. Dillman and Cotter out of 38. And from 39 is 89 Matthews and Martin. And from 40 is 51 the Reed and Price entry.
And you get the grid car from position 41, car 57, Siders and Letcher in the Peugeot. From 42, car 42, Fahey and Cribben. From 43, 16, McKay and Miller. Out of position 44, car 98, Hills and Rogers in the Sierra. And from position 45, car 8, Hardman and Full in the Hyundai.
In some 45 minutes, it'll be time for drivers. Start your engines in this year's great race. A testy time in the lead-up for all drivers. Let's go back to the pits. Here's Andy Raymond.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. 45 minutes until start time, as you said, but 30 minutes. The cars have to be out of lane. Neil Crompton, we saw what happened this morning. It's a race against time. Can the team do it?
Well, they're working flat out on the job at the moment, Andy. They've got the car up in the TAFE College, and we know how well those guys work up there, and it's frantic. So I'm just a spectator, so I thought it was best to get out of their way. There's a lot of damage to the car.
There's the number 7 Coca-Cola entry with Russell Ingall.
I had an offer to come back with Coca-Cola Wayne Gardner team, and it was too tempting, I must admit. Just one more time at the mountain.
The 2-litre class has also attracted international talent, with German BMW star Alfred Hager joining Paul Morris, and leading British privateer James Kay teaming up with Greg Murphy. The entry for the class is small compared with the V8s, but few doubt that it will eventually succeed. It's a case of evolution rather than revolution, though, and needs a careful eye kept on the costs. The leading manufacturer-backed teams in the British series are believed to spend around $10 million for a season, more than 4 times the amount needed to run a Holden or a Ford in Australia, but still good value compared with the Formula One style budgets of the German 2.5-litre championship.
I wouldn't think that you'd look at that anywhere near that sort of budgetary in Australia, because what you're able to do, you're tacking on the research that they have over there, and you've got to research for an international basis, so you just really pull a car off the production line. So really our cost of the car won't be anywhere near that sort of money.
Of 2 things, though, there's no doubt. The rumble of the V8s will continue to be heard on the mountain for some time to come, and the international stars will carry on returning in a bid to capture one of touring car race's greatest prizes.
Yes, thank you, Richard, and certainly good to see a strong international flavour in this year's race. Let's go back to Gary Wilkinson.
And I have with me the motor racing chaplain, Gary Coleman.
A prayer of dedication for the race. Gracious God, we pause to express our respect for you and the need to include you in all that we do. We present our race to you for safety and protection, and we pray for the Don Watson family whose sorrow that they'll find strength in you and in their friends. Grant to all who race, who crew, marshal and administer, alert reactions, responsible behaviour, so as to conclude this day with thanks and satisfaction, we ask in humble respect in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome for the playing of the Australian National Anthem, Mr. James Morrison. And now it's time to fire them up in preparation for the great race. And to do that, the Commonwealth champion, the Olympic champion, the world champion, Kieran Perkins.
Melinda Price and gentlemen, start your engines.
There's the scene at Mount Panorama as the Seven Network welcomes viewers across Australia and through TV2 in New Zealand live to the 32nd running of Australia's great motor race. And this man going after number 10, they call him the King of the Mountain, Peter Brock. And we're set to go. Seaton, the start here will be critical. 5 seconds away from it, the Peter Jackson Falcon. Scaife's ready to go. They're all off and Scaife gets away smartly, but Alan Jones is away smarter even on the outside and gobbles up Tony Longhurst as they reach the first turn. Is it going to be Brock? He goes in wide, but he won't be able to turn it out of there, and it'll be Seaton up the inside. Heading up the Holden Hill. Here comes Scaife. He wants to lead this. Up on the inside. Seaton has allowed him to get up on the inside, and he was 2 seconds quicker this morning. Scaife running on the Yokohamas, and there he goes through Repco now, the exit. Seaton now drops back into second. Third, as you can see, is Peter Perfect, and Larry Perkins coming up the outside.
Wild stuff as this field thunders through the spray on the first lap. You can see Larry pushing his way up through the field there. Great start for Mark Scaife. He wants to get out of this spray, and he's going to lead him across the top for the first time. There's Seaton in second position. Brock slips back to third after that big understeer in the first corner. Perkins comes through. The shell cars, then Alan Jones and the Peter Jackson Ford.
That's pretty close stuff at the top of the mountain, but Scaife looking for the break. That's all he needs to get away from that big Falcon. Perkins showing already he wants to get by Brock in the 05 car as they come across the top of the mountain. Headed down now to Skyline, and there's the first of the Johnson cars with Alan Jones, and also a very good start there from Wayne Gardner.
Fascinating thing this in the warm-up just this morning in the wet conditions. The top 4 cars, top 3 of the top 4 were on Yokohama tyres. It seems to be an advantage here in the wet weather conditions. Boy, it's going to be tough on these opening laps.
Well, I'll tell you what, start or finish, in front is the place to be, particularly in these conditions. How the guys back in the midfield in this race can see what's happening is beyond me.
Well, there's the gap. It opens up as Mark Scaife comes down to tyre power turn. Glenn Seaton in second, Brock third, then followed by Perkins. Crowd cheering up here because Brocky is sitting right on the tail of Glenn Seaton. Nobody knows this circuit better. You saw the cars get taily out of that corner.
Mark Scaife confirming his warm-up form. 3.5 seconds faster than the next fastest car, Longhurst and O'Brien.
Look at this. Brocky down the inside of Seaton. He's out after Scaife. To the 2 he's overhead. Look at the speed through here. Here comes Brock through the maze, through the mire, up into second spot. The Scaife heads down into Caltech's chase.
And here comes Brock down under brakes into Caltech's chase. Great move that on Conrod Straight. So it's Scaife now. And look at Seaton. He gets a bit wide. He's off on the grass, and Larry Perkins will capitalise on that. Seaton gets it back on the tarmac. Just an indication of how slippery it is out there on lap 1.
Alan Grice away to a brilliant start as well in the number 18 Shell FAI Falcon is now up to position number 5. Here comes the Co-Commodore down on the inside. Alan Jones dives under the second one. It'll be 3 wide through that turn as Jones gets up on the inside of the Ingle car. Oh, wheels. You got to see where you're going here this morning on pit straight. And they head past here up into the left-hander. Tony Longhurst is in. He wants a slice of the action, and you can hardly see where you're going. These guys want a race.
Not intimidated by the wet conditions one little bit. Look at this, what a squeeze. Grice, I think one of the Coke cars there, is that Gardner in 4? And Alan Jones. Percy gets shuffled back. Now it's Percy in car 7 who's up there at the front of this pack, so Gardner back there too. And look at the amount of spray coming off these cars. They're absolutely blinding conditions.
And it's not going to get any better because reports from towns west and south are here. Rain, 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 rain and thunderstorms.
And there goes Percy sneaking up the inside.
Well, he's there, but right behind him in the 18 car, we've already alluded to, a fellow that's won here twice in the 1000 mode, and that's Alan Grice, a Cobra Al up there on the inside as he tags the number 7 car up into BP Cutting. Leader skipping away from them, Mark Scaife. Peter Brock up into second spot at the moment, and here we're following 5th back to 10th. Nothing, the split between first and second, and the great race for 94. Brock, cool, calm, and looking like collecting at the moment. They go over the Holden Hill, and Scaife, who does all of the development driving for Fred Gibson Racing, out there in front. There's Perkins, made his way up to 3rd, so the leader is not getting away from the pack. Very gingerly gets his way through Repco corner. Brock a little wider.
And this fascinating tyre battle we've had all year in full swing. Yokohama, Bridgestone and Dunlop head-to-head in the most treacherous conditions we've seen all year.
To the cutting, the exit now. There's Scaife, just feeds on the throttle as he comes through there. Brock sitting in behind and sideways, as you would expect, a little dab of the brakes. No heroic stuff here today. Scaife driving beautifully, and Brock just sitting in his wake as they make their way once again towards Skyline.
Well, according to our Dorian lap scorer here, Brock was almost a second faster than Scaife on that last lap around, so he's taking big chunks out of his lead here. Car's running in about the 2-minute 44 time frame. And we don't really have any relevant figures for that because the cars were so lightning quick in qualifying and the drive.
Larry Perkins also closing up on Brock. A three-way contest here at the head of the field, going to lickety split the early stages of the 2 1000 in the most atrocious conditions that we've seen for a long time.
This is where the action is. Brock right on Scaife here as they head up toward Repco corner.
He's got the right line for the turn if he keeps it on hard. It's side by side into the right-hander, and Brock goes through to take the lead in the 94. Great race with it sideways out of the turn. Now advances to the lead. Second spot held by Scaife, and Perkins is back behind him as Freddie Gibson says, well, it's early days yet.
Look at Brock's car snap sideways to try to get the power coming up the shelf that time. And here comes Larry Perkins. He's not letting them get away. Looks like he's just inching a 10th or 2 out of this lead.
He is, and you'll hear the cheers come from the crowd at the top of the mountain as they come over Skyline, as they hear that the King is in front. Wait for it as he comes down now, this great speed shot over the top and down into the left-hander. You can hear it above the rain, and Perkins closing at this moment on Mark Scaife. Now wait for the reaction. Hey, the boys in front, the 0055 kid could be there shortly.
Well, time's coming down too. Last time through at 2:42, so they've locked about a second off the times, and there may just be a bit of a dry line emerging here in the next couple of laps. So a bit of speed coming back.
This is a fabulous race that we have going in the early stages, atrocious conditions. How good are these professionals? You'll be able to see the speed shots on Caltech's Chase.
Lead them down through toward Forest Elbow. So it's Brock. Scaife taking it very easy, and Larry Perkins really has moved up in the back of the Winfield car. Look at this, right under the wing as they head down Conrod Straight once again. Still an enormous amount of spray around, but Larry, he's really in the draft here. Let's see what they do. Be a very brave move if he gets him coming into the chase. He pulls out of the draft. We switch their side by side as they come into the chase. What's Larry going to do?
Sideways. Side by side. Now he'll back it off through there.
Just an indication of how much confidence these guys have got in these cars and in their own ability.
Car number 42 with problems.
Car 42 in trouble as they push it up the line. Greg Fay and Dennis Cribben there, but this is where the action is. Once again, Larry Perkins
comes up on the inside of Scaife.
That's becoming a popular overtaking position there.
Mark's given way to whether he has a problem or not. I'm not quite sure. The Rodney Crick, Neil Shembry, better grow Commodore. The driver pushes them to the outside, tells them where to pass.
How hot is the pace? They pulled it back again. Brock's last one across the start finish line at 2:38.7, so they brought it down about 5 seconds from the opening lap times. So conditions obviously drying out. Oh, look at Larry get sideways there as he comes across the top of the mountain. It looks like Larry's done a 2:35.8, so he's going much quicker than Brock. He's the fastest man on the circuit at the moment. So Larry once again has the hot Bathurst setup. 2:35.8, so he's really closing in on Brock here. It's a visual gap now. and looking ready to pounce.
Aren't these things quick in a straight line here? And then the wet downforce at Mount Panorama coming up on the Scotty Taylor machine. I think that's the Xerox shop car.
And you can see that dry line emerging now.
You watch Scotty. They'll hang across to the inside.
Yep.
Gives Brock the run of the race, and Larry says, hey, there's an opening up here. He's got the headlights on.
Switches those demon headlights on. That's a memory of 93.
Fancy looking in your mirror and seeing the headlights and Larry's goggles.
Whoa!
Oh, stand on the gas, boy.
Brock and Larry, just like the sprint cars on the clay there, sideways, full power, trying to get about 550 to the tarmac. Still very slippery conditions out there. Look at this. These guys are absolutely on the ragged edge. Teammates here, of course, shared 3 wins back in the early 80s. This is very up with this year.
This is fabulous. They come across the top again. Crowd love this. Brock in front, some traffic ahead. Larry with the lights are blazing.
Keep in mind, we're only 5.5 laps down. We've got 161 laps in this race. These guys are attacking it like a 10-lap sprint. And look at Brock waving at the slower car, the Sierra, up ahead of him.
Well, he'd be better off just waiting. Larry's not going to do anything. They'll just wait to get an even go, which they do, and Larry tries to get through, which he does. That leaves Scaife a little inside edge to come down as well, so Mark takes that. Lap cars doing the right thing.
I think Mark Scaife's probably pulled the right rein here too, Mike. He's just hanging back there, let these two scrap amongst themselves. He's certainly got plenty of speed. He's had a few laps to check out his opponent's speed, and he's looking very, very comfortable there in 3rd position.
I would say that Fred's probably had a word to him and said, well, hang on, cool it just a little bit. This is a long race, and you guys are attacking it like a Shell Series sprint. Look at Larry again, moving up on the tail of Brock, and you'll see that Mark Scaife has now made a bit more ground up on them.
Yep. He may have had the signal. It was 2.3 seconds till they came across the start-finish line last time around, but now he's right on the bumper of Larry. It's the Commodore train. Brock, Perkins and Scaife. Fabulous battle. Look how sideways Brock gets there as he's coming out of the corner. He's really driving this thing to its absolute limit in these conditions.
Won't find one of these guys do a zippity-doo-dah down here on the inside. They've got too much respect for each other. They want to be around at about 4:30 this afternoon. Across the line, one more lap completed. Peter Brock going after win number 10, leads Larry Perkins, the defending champion, and Mark Scaife, the Australian touring car champion. Doesn't get much hotter than that. They're coming up to the Technophone 2-litre car. The Oryx machine also out there in the Hyundai. The Hardman full car making its competition debut is one of the first in the pits.
Just imagine the wealth of experience amongst these 3 guys driving on the limit, but Larry's right up behind Brock now, lights ablaze. Peter's well aware that he's there. He ducks over the inside onto the wet line. Hard under brakes as they come up the shelf. It looks like he's got him.
Yes, he has. Another change of position as last year's champion, Larry Perkins, goes through to take the lead sideways.
We're going to get these guys in sprint cars. They have got some sensational throttle control, and you're seeing it here. The track very greasy, and they're sliding the cars. They're virtually steering them on the rear axle. Look at
how
this.
good's this stuff? Sideways out of Repco, standing on it.
Larry Perkins, tell me he hasn't come alive today. This is the most inspirational drive I think I've seen ever. On the ragged edge, sideways out of every corner. He doesn't seem in the slightest perturbed by the conditions. Look at the way he hangs the tail through here. And Scaife closing in a little bit on Brock.
Is Larry that much quicker than everyone, or have they decided to just back it off a little, give Larry's head? There's the Rodney Crick, Neil Shembry, Better Grow Commodore. Neil Shembry behind the wheel, starting the race. It's tight up here on the top of the mountain as Larry Perkins has Peter Brock now on the tail. Want to go racing down the inside, and does it. Brock back in front, comes through Castrol, and waves to the guy coming up on him, or he was coming up on to let him know, and Perkins at this stage has dropped back in the clutches.
Glenn Seaton moves up, he's been sitting back watching.
And Alan Jones, look at this, as in the second Falcon, has also moved up.
And look at them all bunching up now as they come down the side of the mountain. The second of the Winfield cars in there too, Alan Jones and the Coca-Cola Commodore. Look at the gaggle of cars as they pick their way through the slower traffic coming down the side of the hill. Alan Jones now up to position 3.
Oh, look at this through here, Scaife. They all get through on the inside. I think it was Cameron McConville. They put a lap on. These guys have not backed off. They are racing side by side.
Well, Larry Perkins, as we go with Castrol race cam aboard the Castrol Commodore, and Alan Jones, isn't he on a charge?
So the Fords are starting to make their mark here as they head down to the right-hand kink here at the chase. Alan Jones has been sitting off the leaders. Perkins Now gives way on the inside to Mark Scaife, comes up, and we have a report that he will be in for tyres very, very shortly.
Switches across to the outside of the track. Let's see if Perkins heads pit side. He's slowing down. Is he going in? Looks like Larry's heading for the pits, the first of the leaders on the way into the pits. It's all happening here at Mount Panorama as the track conditions begin to change. Alan Jones on the charge through the field now, the first guy to slip into the 234s.
Oh, how close was that?
Incredible stuff.
Up on the inside came Wyn Percy and the Coke Commodore. Up on the inside of Glenn Seaton it was. As Glenn Seaton up on the tail of Mark Scaife. On the outside of him goes the Coke Commodore. They're all looking for racing room and they're tight as they come over Tooheys Bridge.
Oh, how close is it here? Falcon Sandwich.
You want to run on the dry line, and here comes Wyn Percy down on the inside of Glenn Seaton. Over the top, heading down to Skyline yet again.
Fascinating battle here for 4th, 5th and 6th.
And Wayne Gardner's cars running superbly here. The second one is with Wyn Percy, Russell Ingall doing a great job. And I must pay a compliment to the lap car so far. I think the guys have done a fabulous job staying out of the way of these boys, and it's a tough race for them to run.
Look at Tony Longhurst coming back into the picture now in 6th position. They're all bunching up. Tremendous dice here for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th as they come down the mountain once again. Wipers still going. Conditions in no way confident that they're going to clear up, but the dry line's still out there. Larry's come in for intermediates now, which gives you some indication of which way the track conditions are going.
Here comes Mark Scaife. Fabulous speed shot down into the chase, and right behind him is Glenn Seaton, who carries our STP race camp. He has the inside run. You just got to be careful here. They'll have racing room because they respect each other, Mark Scaife and Glenn Seaton. Peter Brock leads the great race. 9 laps completed. Alan Jones runs in second. Mark Scaife is third, and he is the man monstering him with our beat into the left-hander, and that is Glenn Seaton, and he takes that spot away from him.
Great shots from our race cam boys there as you ride with Glenn Seaton as he tries to fend off Mark Scaife, but Wyn Percy showing a new head of steam. Gets right up onto the back of the Winfield Commodore. Tony Longhurst coming into the battle too. And at the moment, Longhurst and Alan Jones are the fastest guys on the track, the only ones in the 34s at this stage.
Look at this. Here's Peter Brock, and the man coming after him is Alan Jones, and he tries to thread the needle as they go past a lap car. Brock has the line to the next turn. It's the right-hander at Repco. Jones has the headlights ablaze. The Ford's running strongly, and he wants to lead it as he comes up the inside. Brock skates wide. Jones comes up. The two cars almost touch that time. Brock has the line to the next turn on the inside, but Jones stays wide. Watch this as they come on opposite lock out of here, and it's Brock with Jones side by side again.
Ford versus Holden. Alan Jones is more than into the quarter panel of Brock's car there. Brock's got the left-hand indicator on as Alan Jones tucks right under the wing of 05 as they come across the mountain for this scintillating run through these conditions. This is really...
And all those experts have told us that these were dinosaurs from the past. Go eat your words, boys. These guys are putting on a fabulous show as Jones goes to the inside but can't make it.
You can't believe this. This is the battle for the lead of the 1994 Tooheys 1000. It's not a sprint race. Well, it is effectively 161 laps. We can expect this sort of action
Here's
for
Neil
6.5 hours.
Good driving from Neil Chambry.
Rookie gets out of the way. Nice driving by him as he lets this great battle continue. Alan Jones in the Ford. Peter Brock in the Holden. Holden versus Ford, and they're right on it as they come down toward Forest Elbow once again. All this aggression we've seen in Jones over the years coming out here, and he's picked the right day of the year to do it.
Now they'll have a chance here to gauge the relative speed difference of these two cars as they hit Conrod Straight. Brocky, some lap cars, moves to the outside, going to get them before the chase. Jones follows, sitting in the draft. About 285 clicks at the moment. Over the top, beneath the Tooheys Bridge. Here they come down the hill. Jones sweeps to the inside, but can't do it. They lose the BMW. And they're down at a Caltex chase again. And here comes Jones under Brock. And gets him as well. So we now have a new race leader. It's Alan Jones in car number 30.
You can see Jones wearing the battle scars from that first or second lap altercation. He's really been in the wars.
Occupational hazard, son.
So, interesting thing too here, maybe a coincidence, but the leading three cars now are on Bridgestone tyres. So as the track conditions are changing, you can see you've got to be on the right tyre at the right time. Jones gets sideways up on the ripple strips. Brock takes advantage with a faster run out of the corner. They're side by side as they come across the start-finish line once again.
Jones. I can't remember one like this, Gary.
I have never seen a battle like this, Wilco.
Never. Not this fast, not this furious, not this close. 5 different leaders in the race so far.
Beverly Brock there, Peter's wife, watching in nervous anticipation of what's ahead.
Jones, the 4th different race leader, as we work lap number 10 or 11 of the event.
4 different leaders in the first 13 laps. This is phenomenal motorsport, whichever way you look at it.
Mark Scaife came into the pits, changed from full wedge to intermediates, rejoined the race in 11th position. Car 17, John Bow at the wheel, also came in and changed to intermediates. There's Scaife now, on with the full wets, on go the intermediates.
And what do you do with tyres? It's raining, the track is wet, but the sun's out. You'd have to be a genius if you're going to pick this one.
Now with me is Win Percy. Win, awful conditions.
I think you'd have to be in a car to ever understand what it's like. When you put your hand up to try and clear the inside of the screen, and literally you cannot see beyond the screen, down Conrod Flat, it's unbelievable.
You said you were going to retire after last year's race, and you've come back for this?
I should have kept to it, shouldn't I? It's unreal. I think it's a credit to the drivers, though, to get round up into the cutting on the first lap without any major incidents. Again, it was unbelievably slippery, but quite an experience.
Well, Paul Radicic is, of course, the World 2-litre champ after winning the big race last year. He's yet to climb into Glenn Seaton's Peter Jackson Falcon, and he's in the pits with Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Though it mightn't be too long before Paul Radicic jumps in with in the Glenn Seaton car. You're all ready to go. You're just not exactly sure when.
Well, we come in and changed tyres. The wets were giving him some grief, so he changed them, and he wanted me to get him, but I wasn't quite ready, so I'm ready for him at any time.
There's a big difference between a Ford Mondeo that you drive over in England and a Ford Falcon that you're going to be driving here, but the conditions are pretty similar.
You're not wrong. Probably not enough snow coming down at the moment, but mate, they've got a lot of horsepower to pedal around in the wet, and I haven't done a lot of laps, but I'll settle in pretty quick.
After the round of pit stops, in behind the Mazda MX-6, Peter Brock and Thomas Mazera in the 05 car leave this race. Their team car, the 015 car, driven by Bradley Jones and the sensational young Craig Lowndes, run in second. Then it's Glenn Seaton and Paul Radicic in third. And talk about privateers, the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore, Steve Reed and Trevor Ashby are in fourth spot. And in fifth spot, 25, Tony Longhurst, Charlie O'Brien. Then in sixth, another great privateer, Terry Finnegan, and Williams and the Bobby McGee's Commodore VP. Then it's Crick and Scott in the Pinnacle Motorsport Commodore. Then Jones and Parsons in the 30, Peter Jackson Falcon. Then it's Perkins and Hansford in the Castrol Commodore, and Percy and Ingle in the Coke. That gives you an idea of the top 10 and the gaps between them. Now the pace car will head to the pits. The pace will quicken as they come beneath the Bridgestone Bridge. And the race fans who are drenched here along Pitt Straight are ready for the restart as Brocky gasses up, comes across the line, and it's back on again. Brock across the line clear of the Brad Jones, Craig Lowndes car.
Some of the slower ones getting in the way of the faster cars coming through. As you said, Mike, the privateers. Take Qantas race cam, and you're riding with Glenn Seaton as he comes under fire from Tony Longhurst. This is the battle for third and fourth as they come onto Conrod Straight. Well, the run through the spray once again. Glenn Seaton, he's just hanging in there. The fastest man here during the week, really dominated the top 10 yesterday. And he's hanging in the top 3 now. But Tony Longhurst, the star performer here, really a new team. Ran this car in its first Enduro in the Sandown 500 4 weeks ago. And very strong here. He pulls out of the draft and he shoots through on the inside of Seaton.
Great
as
shot
they come
there.
down to the kink. Look at that.
He is a mover today. Well, Freddie Gibson's been having some problems today. They like to run out front, dominate the pace. Let's see what the problems are with the number 2 car. Let's go down to Richie Hay.
Well, thank you, Mike. Fred, things really haven't been going that well for you this afternoon. You've started as, or this morning, you started as one of the favourites. What's gone wrong?
Oh, I think, well, you know, the weather conditions have changed. Only one of those sorts of days where you don't know what's going to happen. You've got to keep soldiering on all day, hoping the finisher might get up with a good result. Mark was out on the wrong tyres at the wrong time. He clipped the wall at the cutting and bent a steering arm, but it's not too bad. And just let a low oil pressure warning light come on then. So we had a look at that. It seems okay now.
Well, we've got rid of the 49 car, and it has been towed out of the sand trap. Was in position 39. It's the pace car. We'll have another lap after this. The lights go out, then one clear lap. And I tell you what, you are going to see a race here when the pace car brings them past with the lights out, because Alan Jones has been sitting back there in third spot. He's ready to pounce, as Dougie just mentioned. Terrific times by Alan Jones.
3 and 4 seconds faster than anyone else in the field. So I reckon when the pace car goes off, Jones is the man to watch. Here's
this is what happened with the 49 car that went off down at Caltex Chase. He got on to the sand and it stopped him, but you've got to get onto the sand. as Phil Ward comes in the Technophone Commodore. Beautiful looking car this. Phil, of course, runs 2 litre. Decided he wanted to run up front with the big boys. That looks ominous. Ready to sprint. Crowd comes alive on pit straight as the great race resumes. And it's Tony Longhurst of Queensland who brings them across the strike. Alan Jones back there in second. Greg Crick is the next one, then followed by Wayne Gardner. Then it's Russell Ingle down towards the Caltex Chase. And Greg Crick doing a great job.
Oh, he was doing a great job, but he's gone sideways.
Greg, who's the best of the privateers, Greg. Just keep it down, bury it. Yeah. It's going to be like Rudolf Nureyev on ice here in a moment. Now he's just got to feather it on, bring the tail round and gas it now, which he does. So that was a little misdemeanor. I don't know whether we've had him drop a spot. The little Diet Coke Commodore goes through. Have a look at it again, the replay. A dab on the brakes coming into the corner. Goes in tight, but then the car...
Oh, he got a nudge. That's Wayne, unfortunately, who's given Crick the flick.
There's the Synovus Falcon. A few people laughed at Alan Moffat's car when it came to Bathurst. He was running the car around probably about 8 seconds off the pace and smiling at everyone, saying, don't worry about it. We're here to finish in the top 10 late in the day. Let me tell you, at the moment, car number 9 is in 8th spot and catching Greg Hansford as the sun shines through.
He's just passed Brock during the break and is doing 2:29s at the moment. We mentioned that the front of the field saw 31s and they were the quick times, but just check that list now and you'll see that Johnson's just turned a 2:27. Dickie Johnson doing 27s at the moment.
Well, Tony Longhurst is in the pit, so he has come in. He will hand over to Charlie O'Brien, fellow Queenslander, who will take the run of the car. Alan Jones remains in the blue number 30 car, and Mark Osler is on the scene.
Trackside here with the Benson and Hedges team. Very quick stop, boy. This is a competitive car. Tony's out. Charlie O'Brien getting strapped in. Conditions, the rain has stopped for Charlie's first few exploratory laps on the track, so he'll appreciate that.
And the trail continues. The number 4 Coke Commodore, Tony Longhurst, as you just saw, was in. One of the Winfield cars is down the end. It's number 2.
Jones is in the pits and he's out of the car, is he?
Yes, he is. They're doing a pit stop, and David Parsons, the dairy farmer from Tasmania, will step into the car. Doesn't do a lot of racing. 015 is in there with a pit stop. Looks like Craig Lowndes, is it?
Yeah.
In the second telecom car. What a marvellous young driver. Did very well, out-qualified them all at Sandown. So John Bow has given Dick Johnson every chance at this one. He comes in. Race cam tells the story, and Mark Osler is there for the call. Mark?
Got the stopwatches on this one, Michael. John Bow already out. And Dick Johnson strapping himself in, as you'd expect. Full slicks going on for these dry weather conditions. Interesting thing with this Dick Johnson team, they have a dry brake filler system for the driver's drink bottle, similar to the way you'd refuel the car, so they can ram the drink juice in there pretty quickly. Johnson out in about 23 seconds. A very, very quick stop for the Shell team here. They're looking very strong.
Thank you very much. 17 rejoins in 6th position as Glenn Seaton comes in. And Andy Raymond is there for Paul Radishitz to step in, Andy?
He certainly is the current World 2-litre champions. Jumping, I tell you what, the boys in the pits are earning their money today. I would hate to think how many pit stops they've been, but Paul Radishitz is jumping in the car. Again, it's funny to note they're having problems with the seatbelts. Glenn Seaton helping the New Zealander in. The pit stop's been going now 22, 23 seconds, so about the same as Johnson. They're out.
Here's the Morris Hager car. Alfred Hager. They were climbing up through the field. We'll hand over to Paul Morris. Car flown in especially for the race. Car number 2, the Australian champion. Let's go down to Andy and find out what is the problem.
Yeah, it hasn't been a happy day for the number 2 car, Fredo. I just saw you speaking to Jim Richards. What did Jim say was the problem?
Look, after Mark hit the wall, it's been something in the front end somewhere in that rain, and like it's making a real graunchy noise, like something's grinding away, and it's too dangerous this sort of circuit to do that sort of thing, especially when you're running sort of 164th or something. So put the car away and sort of in case something goes wrong with it further. But like you said, you turn left, it doesn't handle too bad. You turn right, it really scrapes really bad. So something's out of line in the front suspension somewhere.
Still car number 6 out there for you.
Yeah, she's in front too, at present, it looks like.
Great view, Andrew Madecki in the Synovus Vitamins car, carrying our Dunlop race cam. Great view from the floor, shows you how busy the driver is actually in the car and how many gear changes.
Still doing 2 minutes 26, is still at least 10 seconds off the fast guys at the moment, and probably dropping back at that rate.
Okay, let's go down to Andy, who's with Alan Moffat, a familiar face on our broadcasts.
Certainly is. It feels a bit strange actually interviewing Alan Moffat. Usually we're in the suit and tie together, but Synova's car's having a great day.
Well, it is honking along. We're very pleased with that. You know, we build it for go, a little bit of show, but we're very pleased with Andrew. He's doing absolutely a superb job, and thanks also to Dick Johnson Racing for a fabulous engine. We put it in on Wednesday. It's been running all week, and it's got that feeling that it'll go all day. And also to Freddie Gibson Racing for helping us with some spare tires when we were in a jam a little earlier in the day.
Alan, of course, the weather has interrupted everything, but is everything going to plan as far as pit stops go?
Yeah, we're very happy, Andy. We got it to lap 32, which is the schedule to have 4 stops. We filled it up. Andrew was still refreshed, so he stayed in the car. We're on intermediates now, but we'd just like a little bit more rain for our Dunlops to cool off a bit.
Certainly the most striking looking car here, the Synova's car, as you can see, that black paint job.
Yeah.
Coming down across the top of the mountain up on the Shimbrick Creek car.
With that wonderful contrasting green, it reminds me of the last bout of gastric reflux.
Oh, give it a break. Carrying also sponsorship from Parramatta Raceway in Sydney. So a little bit of the Saturday night thunder flowing into the Synova's car for the weekend, and he's doing a great job, Andrew Madecki.
Back to the pits, Alan Jones, car 30, second of the Peter Jackson entries, and also with a problem there.
We saw that smoke before when he was going up the mountain. Clearly a problem, a mechanical problem.
Let's go down to Andy.
An oil leak of some type, Alan.
Yeah, Andy, we don't know what it is. It might be a union or something, and it's leaking from underneath. So hopefully if we can tighten it up, he'll get on his way. And the other good thing is I had a misfire in top gear all my session. And I just said to Skippy, then have you still got the misfire? He said, no, it's going like an arrow. So we've fixed the misfire, now we've got an oil leak.
The race leader in the Shell FAI Falcon. Second is Colin Bond. Third is Tony Longhurst. Fourth is Greg Hansford in the Castrol Commodore. And fifth is Peter Brock in the Telecom Mobile Net Commodore. So Dickie Boy leads the field, hauled in Colin Bond, who had a quite good lead. Has been able to run away from Colin at this stage as he heads along pit straight, and for the first time today the entire pit straight is just about dry.
Here's the car, the Shell FAI car number 18 that we saw in the sand trap earlier in all the schmozzle and the rain. Alan Grice at the wheel of this one, ripping across the top of the mountain and trying to make up for the territory they lost, because Grice was up running as high as fourth in the race in the early stages. Young Stephen Johnson will be looking forward to a stint behind the wheel himself in the car a little bit later on in his 1000 debut, because he's driven here previously in the 12-hour event with Dick Johnson, his father, and won their category, in fact, here last Easter. But this is a different ball game.
I think Junior Johnson's already been in that car, actually. I spoke to Alan Grice in the pits a short while ago, and he was saying how difficult conditions were over the top of the mountain.
30 car, the one that was behind the screens, rejoining the action. David Parsons there, as we said, they had an oil leak. They had what looked to be a small fire under the bonnet. No real harm done. They're satisfied. They've rectified the problem. Back to the action. There's the teammate car number 1.
And that's running in 8th place at the moment. Glenn Seaton and Paul Radisich.
Radisich at the wheel. Neil Crompton at the wheel of the number 4.
Niels, you're in 7th position and doing 2:18s, which is only 2 seconds slower than Dickie Johnson, who's leading the race. It can't be too badly put together.
No, it's dodgy under brakes a bit, Dougie. It's a bit how you're going at the bottom of the straight, and it doesn't turn real flash. But the biggest problem at the moment is this oversteer that you might be able to see. The thing's a real battle.
Tony Scott and Greg Crick. Tony Scott driving at the present time. Tremendous experience over, I hate to think how many years now. They're in 10th position at the present time, been maintaining a top 10 position now. Well, for the better part of the race, after the hectic early laps quieted down, they just snuck right in there. They made the right tyre choices at the right time. That was the most important thing to do here in the first hour and a half of the race today, without any doubt. And Greg Crick drove unbelievably well in the first stint, handed over to Tony Scott.
And still is. He's doing 2:17s, 2:18s consistently, which is right on the pace.
And just to give light to everything I said a couple of minutes ago, there's a spot of rain or two falling outside again.
It'd be very lonely without a quick chat from Dick. I know he doesn't want to do much talking today. He's in a winning spot. How goes it, young man?
Not too bad at all, Michael.
It's a better day than yesterday, then?
Oh, well,
I'd rather have a bad day yesterday and a good one today, thank you.
Okay, mate, you've got a good break over Tony Longhurst, and the car feels good?
The car feels great at the moment. The back tyres are a little bit soft, but other than that, the car is absolutely fantastic.
Anything to say to all your fans up there in Queensland?
Well, it's just damn good for a change to be in a car that's just going like a train. And to all the people up in Queensland, I just hope we can bring it home for you.
David Parsons in the pits again. He's been out and in and out and in, and I think the 30 car has run its race. There's Alan Jones saying to Barry Seaton, Glenn Seaton's dad, who runs the Seaton racing team, exactly what the problem is. They know their race is done. Paul Radisich of New Zealand.
Hello.
Paul, Mike Raymond, how are you?
How you doing, Mike? I'm well.
Now, you got rid of the Kiwi weather. You've got rid of the Kiwi weather and the English weather. How's it feel on a dry track?
Yeah, mate, it's good. Glenn did the hard job by staying out in the wet conditions, but it's nice and dry now. It's just a little slippery in places, but she's okay.
Well, we have all of New Zealand watching us today through TV2, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of Kiwis out there hoping you can bring this baby home for first.
Let's hope so, mate. I think we're 6 at the moment, and we've just got to keep going. We made a couple of unexpected stops, but who hasn't?
Well, you're up to 6 spots, so you're doing all right. I'll let you concentrate. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks, Mike.
Tony Longhurst running second to Dick Johnson on the racetrack at the moment. Behind the wheel is Charlie O'Brien of Queensland, the co-driver. Here it comes. Mark Osler is there. Call the action, Mark.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, Charlie O'Brien, a great stint there in car 25. The car currently runs second. Tony was very busy just before the stop. I managed to catch him with those wet laps earlier on. They're very confident they can go through this with just one pad change, and indeed their fuel consumption figures have come well under control, so they're very confident of 4 fuel stops, and that really is a very competitive package for Mount Panorama today. Lead car bang on target, 70 laps. John Bow jumps in, Dick Johnson out. They're going to have a look at the front pads this time. They may not change them if they're healthy. Mechanic sticks his head under the guard. No, wheels go back on. The pad change will wait till later. These wet laps at the beginning of the race has really reduced the brake pad wear, giving these guys a lot of leeway in that respect and a lot of safety on their 4 stops for the fuel. A lot of cars coming in here, just about got run over. Car still in the pits, 27, 28 seconds, and off the jacks at 29 seconds. Very slick stop from the Shell team.
But Larry Perkins has gone through to take over the lead in the race, and car 17 will rejoin in second position.
Coming up now on the Synovus Vitamins Falcon is Larry Perkins' car, number 11. Greg Hansford still at the wheel. Larry will step in for the sprint to the checker a little later. He works his way to the outside, so that 28-second gap, or 20.8 that they got out to, has now reversed itself. And the Synovus car also runs strongly looking down up to, I think, about 12th at the moment after the pit stop. And there's Greg Hansford carrying our Castrol race cam. Fine driver. There's a lot expected of Greg Hansford because Larry is a tough man, and he's engineering this car all the time at Mount Panorama, so seat time for the co-driver is minimal, and you have to be able to produce for Larry, and Greg does that. One of the most underrated race car drivers in Australia, and for the second straight year with Larry, he's doing a fine job here today as he comes up once again on the Anderson Consulting Commodore V8. He exits the tyre power, and they're on their way down Conroy.
And they're standing by in the Castrol pit, and looks like Perkins might be about to get back in the car for another stint.
Could be. Let's go down to Mark Osler. I think he's with the old fella.
You can call him the old fella. I'm not sure if he'd appreciate that. Mike just said you're an old fella, but you're doing a pretty good job for an old fella, Dick.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. If the weather stays like this, I'll be really, really happy, old fella, I can tell you.
That car obviously working very well. The chassis looks great, plenty of power. It's really working well around Mount Panorama today.
Yeah, it is working very well, and you know, that's basically what we're here for, is to get a car with a good setup, and we've struck on the deal here, and I think if the weather hangs out for us and everything goes right, well, we're looking good.
And there's Larry. Come on, he said. Let's go down to Andy. He's there.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. As you can see, Larry Perkins, the team boss, jumping back into the Castrol Commodore. Greg Hansford, a nice little stint in the car. He jumped in on lap 32. It's now lap 71. No brake pad changes this time around. I've just spoken to the team manager. You can expect that at the next stop. That will be as water goes everywhere, including over my dial. but the next stop should be about lap 100, 105. Everything's going well for Team Castro.
Thanks very much, Andy. And you could see that car number 11 has rejoined back in a couple of spots behind John Bauer, who has gone through to take over the lead again in the 17 car, I believe.
Yep, the practical politician, Alan Grice, has just jumped in. Junior Johnson has jumped out. He's had a 42-lap stint. Again, it's just they're putting on some new tyres, the driver change, of course, a full tank of gas. They'll again come in pretty much similar to what the Perkins crew will come in about lap 100, and that's when they'll do their brake pad.
An anxious moment here, the 17 car, right in front of it. Car number 57.
The All-Trans car, they turn it into earth-moving equipment there. Was running 30th in the race, but that'll put a serious dent in his chances.
It'll be interesting to see whether they opt for a pace car, seeing it's in the sand trap. Anyone else that would run in behind it. They let one of the other cars sit in the Caltex Chase sand trap there for a while. I don't know if it's a good idea. We'll wait and see.
If they do bring the pace car out, it's going to tighten this whole thing up. It'll make a brand new race, but there's only seconds between the first 3 or 4 punters. I mean, a 10 or 15 second blanket.
Well, there goes Radicic up the hill, and I mentioned earlier that Stephen Johnson, I think, has done a wonderful job first up here in a tourer at Bathurst, a V8 car. Andy's with him in the pits.
Mike, I've been trying to tell you for years that the kids are starting to knock off the old fellas. Stephen Johnson, you've just had 40 laps. How did it feel?
Yeah, fantastic. Race went to plan for me anyway. My stint went to plan. I was dicing there for a while with Neil Crompton and a couple of the Winfield boys, and it was fantastic. It felt so good to be out there.
Mate, are you still in awe when you come up alongside a guy like Brock, or if they pass you, is it like, geez, am I really here?
Well, I passed Neil Crompton coming onto the straight here under brakes, and he gave me a big glare at the mirror, but he got me back about 20 laps later, so it was fantastic.
Getting set for the draft now for second spot. Paul Radicic sits in behind the Longhurst car. They work to the outside of the Lansvale Smash Repairs car. Bit of traffic congestion here. Oh, he's not going to go between them. I thought he was for a moment, but it's going to be tight as they run downhill. Radicic comes down the inside of Longhurst, just sits there as they make the right-hand kick. Now the left-hander at Caltex Chase. Real race going here for second spot in the Tooheys 1000. And there's Glenn Seaton waiting for the pit stop. Tony looks in the mirror. He's got the lights on. And Radicic trails as they head up Holden Hill again. Will now make a move. Here they come on the inside to take over second spot. So Paul Radicic of New Zealand, for our Kiwi viewers today through TV2 in New Zealand, hope you're enjoying the great race coverage. And Paul Radicic now takes the number 1 PJ Falcon up into second spot.
Paul Radicic comes firing into pit lane. Now Glenn Seaton swapping drink bottles with Paul at the moment. Looks like Paul's going to do a double stint. Yeah, he plugs in a new bottle, so Radicic really on fire. Now, what are they doing? They are doing a front pad change. They've got the spreaders in there, new pads going in, old ones out. Very busy pit activity down the Peter Jackson stop, and it's looking pretty slick. They're changing pads on all 4 wheels. So brake pad wear and consumption going up as the track continues to dry. It's a hot pace here. Radicic calling to Glenn, they're comparing notes, making sure everything's okay, but gee, this car's sounding sweet.
How quickly has Larry gathered in Tony Longhurst. He's on a charge as he comes up on the inside to Repco corner. Zips under Longhurst. Now moves up to second in the race. Has some traffic to contend with as he works his way up Motorcraft Hill to BP Cutting. So Larry now back in the car. It's almost a repeat of last year, and going back after the leader, there's the Ashby Reed Commodore in for a pit stop.
There it is.
Larry, can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear.
Now, what's the pace car going to do? Put you right up on the tail of Dick Johnson for the restart.
I don't mind that at all, actually.
A stranger would say that. That's going to put Brocky up behind you fairly close as well, and Longhurst, so we've got a real race going again at half distance.
Well, I don't mind Longhurst and Brock behind me either, to be honest.
As long as they stay behind you.
Oh, yeah, well, up to this point in time, Been very happy with the pace of the car, and there's been an awful lot of cars behind us, so let's hope we can continue.
Larry, this has been a fabulous race. The race that we saw in the wet was just dynamite. I don't think anyone's seen a Bathurst 1000 like that previously, but it must be a lot easier on you as a driver to face a bit of dry weather racing.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that first 15 laps when I had to catch up and take the lead, and someone asked me about it. And I said, really, in Europe for 10 years I had to drive like that, and that's the difference, and I'm very pleased to take the lead in such treacherous conditions.
Larry, how's the car feeling, mate?
Well, look, it's a Commodore, isn't it?
Go away, will you?
It's absolutely beautiful. What can I say?
And we have Glenn Seaton in the pits, and he doesn't look all that happy. Mark Osler?
He wouldn't be a happy boy at the moment, Michael. When Paul Radisich just went out to commence his last driving stint, the car developed a misfire. They brought it in and tried to fix it. No good. Glenn's come back in again. Now they're attempting to change the spark plugs on the engine to see if they can find the source of the misfire. Of course, the pace car just passed us, so Glenn has dropped a lap. A real shame for the team on lap 82.
Just on the slow lap, behind the pace car, we have one car. The driver's lost control and slammed into the wall on the exit to Repco. I think as the Mazda MX-6 comes up, we'll have a look at what happened to the Russell car.
Holy smoke.
Gee whiz.
I see it says Newcastle across the top of the screen. I think he was headed back there.
Peter Jackson team 30-1 cars are now behind the pit wall.
Paul, it was all going so well. What's happened?
Well, it looks like it's a little bit more terminal than what we'd hoped for. We thought it might be a plug or a lead or something minor like that, but obviously it's a little bit more internal.
You were running in second place. You were the quickest man on the circuit before you came in. It must be a terrible disappointment.
Well, that's motor racing, as Glenn said. That's what's happened. You have to be prepared for the worst, and when it happens, well, you say that's the way it goes. So sure, we're disappointed, but maybe we'll come back and have another shot at it another time.
Well, Perkins is warming, Longhurst is right there, and Brock is behind Longhurst. Peter Brock in the car. The Mazda MX-6 goes to the pit lane as John Bowe brings it in tight. Oh, not as tight as the guy in the Oryx behind him. And there goes Perkins, tries to separate them down the front straight. See if Perkins can pick up second before they head into Fort Care turn.
No.
They've got a couple of slower cars. The Bettigro car is there as well. Brock is right behind Perkins, and so is Longhurst. Actually, Brock's the gainer. He's already passed Longhurst and has moved on the tail of Perkins. They're working their way up Holden Hill. John Bowe is trying to get away from them as they head up here, and the charge of the Light Brigade is now on. The race comes alive as Perkins has Brock right behind him, and Tony Longhurst one back.
There's no doubt that John Bowe got the best of the restart.
Well, the others were reliant upon the smaller category cars moving up behind John Bowe. They didn't have the horsepower to do so, so I guess they held it up just a little bit up to the green. But they make the exit BP cutting, and Perkins comes out of there. Brock, Longhurst, and he's out after John Bowe, but Bowe has skipped away.
So that's the race for the minor placings. It is, in fact, a race in two halves, is it not? We've got lap 88 in the board, just over halfway, and a restart with some fantastically balanced and highly competitive cars.
Oh,
Ryan McLeod.
Oh, goodness me. The
Yes.
McLeod car, the NZ Commodore, has hit the tyre wall there at Reed Park, and the pace car is just about to come back onto the track.
Well, that's not a spot that you would really want to have a car parked. This is what happened. Miscued, got the concrete wall, rode up the wall. It's young Ryan McLeod. Car number 60 was in position number 22. Dad Peter McLeod, and the NZ Fuel Connectors Commodore. So a quick visit to the racetrack by the Mazda MX-6. They must be paying for time on television today. They had more time than some of the other people. The race leader, John Bowe, Perkins behind, thinks he's following the pace car, and into the pits goes John Bowe, which puts Perkins in front for the restart, but
It was even more intriguing than that as we see some of the action that took place in the pits with the Shell car in. What happened was it was the Castrol pit, the Perkins car, that were preparing first to make the changeover with Greg Hansford to get behind the wheel, but Hansford wasn't quite ready. When the Shell team saw the activity, they thought, hey, what a great idea, let's do our pit stop now, and they were ready.
Here he comes now.
The pace car. He's going to relegate himself to the back of the line.
And so is Longhurst.
And so is Longhurst. This is the clever plan. I mean, it saves them an extra pit stop under green conditions.
This will be quick, though. I tell you why, because he'll need to be in and out and on the tail of Johnson. for the restart. Or John Bowe, I should say. So, interesting here. We've got Longhurst is in. The lights have just gone off on the pace car, I believe.
Yep.
They'll do another lap.
I'll do a lap, but they'll need a lightning fast and stand on the gas to get to the back of the field.
Well, what was occurring the lap before when John Bowe came in just in front of you? We thought you were coming in that lap.
No, John obviously thought that he had to come in that lap, and I thought we'd get another lap under the pace, and so we've obviously got one less lap to go on our fuel now.
And the reason for taking that stop while the pace car was out, because it was brake pads?
Well, our overall, we had a scheduled stop then, and our overall, let's say, time out of the race should be less because of the pace car. That's the plan, but, you know, you never know.
Are we on for a repeat of last year?
Well, no way I'm going to say anything, but I hope so.
Pace car goes in. And guess who will come up leading here? Familiar number, isn't it? Familiar face. And it's Brocky. Leads them across the strike. So Peter Brock in car number 05, followed then by the Percy Ingle car, then Wayne Gardner and Neil Crompton. John Bowe is up one spot ahead of them, or behind them I should say, as they come into the turn, and then looking for Larry Perkins and also the Benson and Hedges car. Look at the charge up the mountain as Bowe is trying to clear all of these cars. He's coming up trying to sneak up the inside of the second Coke car, but can't do it. And the longer he sits in behind them, he would estimate that he's giving Perkins time to gather. Interesting race going as they exit BP cutting. 5. Still with a stop to do. Over the cement dust that was placed there for the car that came in contact with the tyres.
That's the 18 car.
Yeah, sorry, I've missed.
That's the Grice Jr. Johnson car. Did you see that? Brock just picked up both the inside wheels. He was on a bike there for a moment. He's not going to surrender this lead easily. Brocky, he's looking for his 10th win, and he's going to hold these boys out until his pads collapse.
Brock, Percy, Gardner, that's the order at the present time. Looking for John Bowe, looking for Larry Perkins, looking for Tony Longhurst. They took advantage of the pace car to make their pit stops. Do pad changes, take on fuel, new tyres, driver changes where necessary.
Yeah, now the 18 car is actually 2 laps down. Is not testing the lead with these other guys.
Brock stretches it out beneath the Tooheys Bridge. Ducking down the inside, but there wasn't too much room to manoeuvre there. The number 18 car, the second of the Shell FAI Falcons. I've given John Bowe too much credit that he could pull up those number of spots so quickly. But he's going back after the leaders. Out under brakes, and then of course Brad Jones and Craig Lowndes in the 015 car. We just spotted oil on the circuit here heading into BP cutting, and I think it was the Wayne Gardner car.
It's the Wayne Gardner car, and that's real tragic news for the Coca-Cola team.
Now watch on the road. See the oil on the left? So whether or not he's dropped the oil or got into someone else's oil going up there, but he's kissed the wall. That's where Larry Perkins made a hasty exit a few years ago. They'll be able to push that car into the open. And this is what you saw when we're giving our race score. This is the 7 car, the Russell Ingall Win Percy car. Not back control this, he got it around, dropped it down one, got it back into first and took off.
Won't be taking off in this, Wayne Gardner, but fortunately, as you said, Mike, he's just near an exit gate, and they'll be able to push that car out with no necessity to bring out the pace car. And look at the disappointment on the face of Neil Crompton as he removes the helmet, watching our 7 monitor down there in the Coke pit bay. And he's given these guys a mouthful as he points back down the circuit and said, look at the oil. You know, I mean, how come I got no warning of that?
Well, 05. Richards down here for the pit stop with Peter Brock, who's putting Thomas Mazzero back in.
That's right, Mike. And as you said earlier on, no brake pad change. It's interesting too. Take a look at the lap they've done this on. Lap 100, and that means they should be able to get through the rest of the race without a splash and dash at the end.
Here comes the pace car.
And I think Brad Jones may have even just gone into the pits.
Yes, there he is. Jones is into the pits as the pace car goes.
Let's go down to Richard.
Busy place down here in the pits. Yes, Brad Jones is in. Right alongside of me, the Ampol Max car is due in, and just behind them, the second of the Coke cars is due in shortly. Now that might all change with the pace car, but out of the pits and back onto the racetrack.
That was a great,
015.
Richie, that was a great stop by the HRT boys.
Was it ever? And right behind me, they had to get the guy out quick, because right behind me, the car 12 is due in at any moment.
Well, I can see. Oh, it must be. Is it Brad Jones? Is it behind us?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Brad.
Okay. And Longworth's behind him. Where's Larry?
He should be in between them somewhere.
No, I think he's back a spot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all pretty academic and fairly easy, isn't it, mate, from here?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It's like playing chess, isn't it, mate?
Oh, it's a bit of a cruise at the moment, you know. If we had to finish the race like this, you know, it wouldn't be real good.
I think it would have been wise to get that car out of the way. They should have waved that one through. He's going to get
put him in a no-win situation, Cotter and Dillman in the Clark Sinks car. He'll probably, I would think, he doesn't want to be part of someone's race, so he'll either hang to the out there. So exactly what he's done, hung to the outside. Johnson said, well, the race is on, fellas, catch me if you can. So Johnson gets into the bottom corner. There's Andrew Madecki, Jeff Allen, Tony Longhurst made the break. Thomas Mazzera wasn't as quick to pick it up. But as they head up into Ford Care turn, Johnson is away smartly, and there is Brad Jones in 015 giving chase. Longhurst runs third in the pack. Further back to Mazzera, Larry Perkins is one spot back behind him. And here comes Tony Longhurst up on the inside of the Jeff Allen, Andrew Madecki Synovus car. Gets by. Then you can see the second mobile car, Thomas Mazzera. And then Larry Perkins gaining on him. Now, the only thing that can throw this out with a nice sprint being enjoyed by Dick Johnson at this stage would be some more rain, and I just noticed on the windscreen of the booth here, it is starting to spit.
Yeah.
Now, here's Anders Olofsson and Colin Bond starting to make a late charge in the Winfield car. That'll be good news for, that's Anders Olofsson behind the wheel, the very talented Swedish driver. Greg Hansford in Larry Perkins' car, the Castrol machine. We take race cam heading up to the cutting. And as Alan Horsley pointed out to me earlier, for Larry to leave Greg in the car, he must be absolutely delirious about his performance, and he's been running the same times as Larry today in the car, so that's great.
All day. In fact, I think he might have done faster times than Larry on average. Not much in it. Johnson's just done a 2 minutes 15.35, which is as close as damn it to the fastest lap of the race.
Our 2-litre leader, car number 46, Paul Morris and Alfred Hager. They've done a fine job in the Diet Coke BMW. Running 13th outright.
This is the one that rolled off the plane on Thursday afternoon.
Yes. They did the paint job here at the racetrack and came straight off the plane. And a little practice on the Friday. And I think if this race had stayed wet throughout, it might have been a major threat for maybe even a top 8 finish.
Even 13th place isn't too bad at this stage, and he's on lap 104, which means he's only 3 laps off the top 7 places.
And don't forget this car, where it was sitting this morning in the wet warm-up, crunched in the wall.
Everyone thought it was out.
But still chasing Johnson. Johnson doing 2:14.9s. Bradley Jones doing identical time, actually a little quicker last time, 2:92 to Dick's 2:96.
Gap's down to 2.7 seconds as they came across the line that time. And there's the man, Brock, who will take over 05, watching the screen. Hello, Pete. Yeah. Watching the screen very intently.
And also Craig Lown sitting there. He's ready to go to take over from Brad Jones. That'll be a pretty tough assignment for him within the next couple of laps. The last of the pit stops, there's Johnson starting to look a bit closer, and Johnson will, I think, headed for the pits. Yes, he's getting ready.
Belt's coming off.
Andy Raymond is there in the pits. Dick knows this one has to be as quick as possible and as smooth by the crew. Johnny Bow is waiting.
We'll get the clocks on this stop, and Brad Jones coming in as well.
Oh, fantastic. This is very exciting stuff.
2 at once. This is critical stuff. They're under green. So So every split second will count here. Here they come. Brad Jones in and Dick. They stop at exactly the same time almost.
Let's go to Andy.
Thanks, Mark. As you can see, John Bow getting in the two times Dick Johnson has won the event. He's never actually received the checkered flag himself, and they're hoping that'll be the case today if all goes to plan. They've left it with 33 laps to go. Richard Hay mentioned that's optimum timing earlier. Johnson is out.
And Bradley Jones is out in front of him.
The first guy out was Brad Jones, and down there with the action was Richard Hay.
Well, terrific stop by the HRT team. They're now setting up, of course, for Peter Brock to come in just a moment, but Brad Jones straight out of the car. Craig Lowndes in. Terrific stop indeed.
Gee, it was quick too, Richard. I had to have a clock on that. It was about 22 seconds.
All the balls are up in the air again because young Craig Lowndes has got out in front of John Bow. Bow certainly has the car. Bow rejoins in 5th position.
Which means that Lowndes is in 4th.
That is correct. Here they come up the hill. Expect the 05 car in shortly. And Tony Longhurst.
This will be a test for the rookie, Craig Lowndes. Last year's Formula Ford Driver to Europe champion. A guy who proved himself very effective in this car at Sandown, fastest of all the 4 Holden Racing Team drivers. And look at the way Bow is pouncing on him here. There's no room here to play yourself in, I'm afraid. Bow straight onto it. So Craig Lowndes under lots of pressure in his first appearance at Mount Panorama. We take Dunlop Race Cam as we ride with John Bow as he zeroes in on 0.15.
Both on fresh rubber. There wouldn't be a lot of heat in these tyres just yet. They don't want to do anything too silly straight up.
Well, let's see if Lowndes takes up the challenge to Bow and tries to hang in front. He'll be certainly determined. He's a pretty determined young guy. So we've also got Perkins and Longhurst to make fuel stops. So we're winding down. It's getting very, very exciting at the pointy end of the day. Here they come.
John Bow catches him but won't be able to do anything about him.
Well, Lowndes has really got to move on there in the second half of that lap. And we should be in for quite a dice between these two.
The race strategist Alan Horsley telling us Perkins by the time he pits and Longhurst is into the pits now. They'll be okay for fuel to go the distance, but there will be some question mark regarding Johnson. That will be very, very marginal. And also everything's up in the air. Down to you, Andy.
Thanks a lot. I'm working the feet off today. As you can see, Tony Longhurst getting in the car. Very quick change again. We've been in about 12 seconds now. A few problems trying to get Tony strapped into the belt. All the wheels are on. The pit crew have their arms up. Tony is still fiddling with the belt. Off the hydraulic jacks it goes. Tony Longhurst out of there, perhaps a little longer than expected though.
Thanks, Andy. The crowd just gave a big cheer, and this is what they gave the cheer for. Just coming through Hell Corner, John Bow ducked under Craig Lowndes. So he goes off in charge of the leaders. Longhurst rejoins in 5th position after that stop.
Actually, it was a bit of a moment of truth for Craig Lowndes because Bow left it right until the end of pit straight and dived underneath him, and it was make your own arrangements.
They both locked up. They charged around with locked up brakes.
Here's the Bond Olofsson Winfield Commodore.
Was running in 7th place when it came in.
It's a driver change too by the looks of things.
Well, they must be going to give Colin Bond another stint. He's cleaning the windscreen. Everything's just about set to go. Fueling is now complete. And Freddie Gibson motions Colin Bond out of the pits.
That's Bondy.
Yeah, Bond in car 6.
A lot of our GIO pit reports today. 6 rejoining in 7th position.
So Bow's blazed through.
Now what's this?
Lowndes isn't letting him go.
Just locked up a brake on the way in and caught the tail on the way out.
Yeah, he's giving it everything here.
Now here's Hansford trying to get ready for Caltech's chase because he wants a quickie for Larry Perkins to jump in the car. They come out, he'll head down to the left here in pit lane and just loosen the belts off as he applies the brakes. No, I understand the philosophy of quick pit stops, but it always worries me with guys in pit stops undoing their belts before they actually make it to the pit.
Well, he was undoing his belts at Caltex Chase, which is one of the fastest parts of the circuit. I mean, it is a worry.
So, Castrol Commodore, the 93 winner, comes in, and Harry Perkins.
Go, AJ.
I tell you what, that was a flyer. Greg Hansford came cascading in like he was still on a two-wheeler. Larry had the door open before Hansford had completely stopped. You can see the crew working feverishly here. It's very much the same as last year when Perkins and Scaife battled for the majority of the race. It came down to a pit stop. Even Greg Hansford there washing the front window. He might have wanted to give Larry's goggles a wash too, because I think they'd be fogged up at this stage.
Well, Perkins rejoins in 4th position. Thanks, Andy, for that.
Here's 05, the critical stop. Peter Brock will be ready to jump into this one. Leader of the race as they came in.
Go to Richard Hay.
Well, that's got to be the quickest entry to the pits I've seen today by Thomas Mazzara. Peter Brock just jumped in the car. And the private pit stop competition that's been going on down here all day. This will be the last for Brock, the team reckon. We'll hear from Brad Jones in just a moment. They have to make sure every last drop of fuel is in. Remember, there's still 30 laps to go, and they have to pull the car back to get it past Bob Jones' machine. Back into the race goes Brock.
Pretty fast stop too. I had that about 25 seconds. Brock rejoins in 3rd position.
Rugby league, AFL, cricket, yes, you sweat and you breathe hard. Greg Hansford just sucking in the deep ones.
Yeah, it's very hot in the car there, Andy. I got it behind Thomas, I think it was in Brock's car. And I tried for 10 laps to get past him, and without doing something really stupid, I couldn't do it. And then I just sort of got up really close to him behind the Forest Elbow, and he gave me a couple of feet. So I took the advantage, and I got behind Charlie, and I couldn't do anything about that. The cars are so even down the straight. Again, if I was going to try and pass him, I would have done something silly. So I think probably better off the way we are.
Brad, they've made you work hard today.
Yes, we certainly were there from early in the place. I thought we were, way out of it, and then we got a pace car, and we're back, dicing for the lead, basically.
Now, you were one of the first to stop. What about a splash and dash stop at the end? Are you going to have to make one?
Well, the good thing, the way the management system is now, basically the dash tells us how we're going, so we believe it'll be touch and go, but we'll get there. But about 3 from the end, I'll let you know, Richard.
Yep, there we are.
Crick and Scott. They're in the pits for their final stop.
We're running 8th when they came in. Fastest lap today of a 2:17.2. Gee, they haven't been far away from the pace.
They've been excellent. Last lap recorded, Johnson with a 2:15.5. Jones with a 2:15, or Lowndes that would be, with a 2:15.8. And the pace car has now come out onto the circuit. And the reason it is out on the circuit is Craig Lowndes, we believe, in car number
No, that's Brocky, isn't it? That's Brocky.
It's
Brock.
It's Brock.
It's Brocky. There's the man, and he's out of the car. The car is a non-finisher.
What has happened there? Let's look at it on the replay. There's Brock. He's running wide. He's getting sideways. Dear, oh dear, he's heading toward the concrete wall from here. What has happened there? Massive loose. He's probably doing about 170 kilometres an hour there.
Oh.
And crunch. That is a big impact. A huge impact. As Brock loses it coming through Castrol Curve on the run up toward McPhillamy. And that certainly raises the question.
He's
These guys going through without a brake pad change. I wonder if the brakes are a bit suspect. You wouldn't know, but boy, there he is.
And there's the reaction of Beverly Brock, who just can't believe what's happened, and Kieran Perkins sitting there.
Let's watch this again, Doug.
There he goes.
This is at race speed.
Oh,
Crunch. Good. The Tooheys 1000 continues now as the pace car goes to the pits. 143 of 161. John Bow, the Shell FAI Falcon, continues to lead. Craig Lowndes in the second of the Mobile Net Telecom cars. 015 in second.
144 laps down. This is crunch time for these two. Oh, look at this.
Look at this.
Yep.
It is on for young and old. Lowndes trying not to let Johnny Bow get away from him. While this battle continues, let's go down to the pits to Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I don't know how he can put a smile on, but Peter Brock, unfortunately, this year it's not going to be number 10.
No. Look, I can't really understand what happened. It was getting slower and slower, and it just stepped out. It just swapped in so fast. It was incredible. But, that's motor racing, and the crowd were pretty fantastic. I was chatting away and had a big wave, You can only do your best.
disappointing. What was going through your mind as you were on your way back down?
Oh, I suppose I was just thinking, it didn't surprise me to a certain extent. I felt that this is the most unusual race. It's been unpredictable, and I thought it just happened. I mean, you can't rewind the clock. I hope Craig does well.
Pete, there's always next year. We'll get you to have a look at the monitor up there. One thing positive that has come out of Team HRT today is the performance of Craig Lowndes and Bradley Jones.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They've done a great job. But also the pit stops here from the boys. I mean, they deserve to get a good result. They've had a very difficult week. You know, we've managed to do pretty well here and there. Just looking at my daughter over there, she's been crying. I said, look, Dad's indestructible. You're okay. Come on. But the boys work very, very hard, and you know, they're sitting here right now probably feeling worse about this than I do, and I don't feel too good about it because it's a beautiful piece of equipment, and but they understand that's motor racing.
This is going down to the... I've never seen a Bathurst race this close in my life. This is phenomenal motorsport.
If you were a script writer, you'd write it like this.
So Lowndes keeps him watching brief, and he certainly doesn't seem to be struggling.
Oh,
keeping
he's
up with
not.
John
This kid has got class written all over him. From Formula Fords into the Tourers, and one run at the Sandown 500, and look how close he is. And here comes Longhurst, and behind Longhurst it's Larry. They're all closing.
It's fascinating when you watch a race this long all day. There's 3 or 4 cars that are really strong, and it all comes together at the right end of the day. These are the guys who have been strongest. Larry Perkins in 4th position. Well, Johnny Bow, as he's proven over the years driving for the Shell team, a very, very difficult guy to pass. He'll make that Falcon 20 feet wide if he has to.
I tell you what, in this situation, I think I'd much prefer to be in the 015 car than the 17 car. I think it's much easier to chase than to lead in these circumstances.
And look at him tucking right under the wing of car 17. You couldn't get much closer than that.
7.83.
Oh, he's got it! He's put one on him up the hill. I didn't think it was possible.
Holden Racing team, plenty of cheers and clapping the hands. This kid is dynamite. How many times, I don't think a rookie's ever turned up at Bathurst, apart from a few of the international drivers who have come in and done this well. Phenomenal effort from Craig. They said the transition from a little Formula Ford to a V8 was too much. Well, he's proven them wrong.
He goes up to the top of the mountain.
Let's see if Johnny Bow can hold on to him. Listen to the whole fans cheering. They think it's Christmas.
There'll be a 50-50 split up here. They're going berserk.
He means business.
Yeah. Oh, 2 wheels. Lowndes was up on 2 there.
JB's not mucking about here. Get the wheel up on the ripple strip. And this is these 2 cars are so evenly matched. Peter Brock with his daughter there,
who's much happier now,
watching the race as his teammate. Extraordinary performance.
Never seen anything like this at Mount Panorama with the rookie. Locks one up just a little on the way in, wrestles it on the way out, little tail slide.
Let's see what the big Falcon can do down the hill. This is the test.
Well, that was a gutsy move by Lowndes coming up the Repco curve.
And did it on the outside.
Yeah, all on the outside.
Yep. He's covering his mirrors. He's just showing. That's all he'll do. He won't touch, but he will sit there and he'll dart left and he'll dart right.
And isn't young Craig using all the road? He's bounced the thing off the ripple strips all over the place. He's absolutely on the limit here under a maximum pressure drive.
That's the widest Commodore ever built at the moment.
Well, boy, this is really going to test him. His race guy's done a lot of testing for HRT, but not a lot of racing. I think Sandown was his first race. There's Johnson looking on. Oh, the car gets a little bit out of shape as he tries to get the power down. John Bow weaving left and right, filling each side of the mirrors of the 015 car. This is really thrilling stuff.
Little taily coming out of the exit there up to Castrol, a lap car, zip him on the outside. And John Bow does exactly the same. I think that was the Clark Sinks car. Dillman and Connor.
Oh, look at this.
Down across the mountain under the Firestone Dipper.
Can't get any closer than this. It's astounding. Lowndes was apparently 7/10 of a second quicker on that previous lap, but he's making it up and losing it, as JB does as well. So
you probably won't see this as they go down the straight, but I'm told the crowd is actually so excited they're doing a giant Mexican wave the whole length of Conrod Straight as Lowndes and Bow come through.
I've never seen a battle for the lead at Bathurst in my life like this. This is incredible. Bow closes under brakes.
Oh, now his trouble is some traffic. Let's see if this has any impact.
No, John. He'll sit in there, but he's going to make life. There's a lot at stake here. There's 100 grand to win this race. Lowndes comes down under brakes. JB, same time.
Oh, no, he mustn't. He couldn't have looked.
He didn't look, but that's racing.
Now, John will have got a faster run out of that corner. He may try and capitalise here. He's probably got a few more revs on board. He comes up the inside, side by side under brakes, and JB will sneak through. They both locked the inside left tyre.
He was unsettled by that back marker. That's very unfortunate. There he is. Larry Perkins at the wheel of the Castrol Commodore in third position, having just taken Tony Longhurst. And he is now working as hard as he possibly can to get up and bridge that 6.57 split.
Oh, he's going to have to work hard. What'll be lap 149? They're halfway through lap 49. 150 as they come across the start-finish line next time around. 11 laps to go. So Craig Lowndes, oh boy, imagine the adrenaline pumping through this kid. John Bowles opened up a 3 or 4 car length gap as they come into Caltech's chase this time around. Just on the rev limiting here, firing off there as he goes back through the gears. Dick Johnson.
There's the story.
Try and get a smile out of this guy over the next 11 laps. This is tense stuff. Larry Perkins, though, not giving up. He's still, what is it, 6 seconds behind Craig Lowndes. There's Greg Hansford.
Well, 7.5 laps to go for Larry Perkins and about 7 seconds to make up to get to the front of the field. That on paper is an impossibility, but you just don't know what's going to happen in the closing stages of this race. It's happened before. Larry knows that full well.
There's Bradley Jones, and wouldn't he be a nervous boy?
Hey, Brad.
So Brad, watching his teammate, every move, every gear change, every brake application, fingers, toes, everything crossed. And wouldn't it be the same feeling in the Shell team at the moment?
It's Johnny Val with the 7 race cam turning circles beside him.
There's another one of those pictures speaks 1,000 words, Dick Johnson.
Somebody sent...
Sideways drift there onto the main straight again for John Bow. Corrects it quickly, though, and doesn't lose any ground. Craig Lowndes. There's that camera going round and round and round and round alongside Johnny Bow, but he wouldn't even know it was there. Oh, Larry Perkins lifting up the front there as he pushes really hard to try and stave off the challenge from Tony Longhurst for 3rd and 4th positions here. Quite a way astern, about 8 seconds behind the race leader.
What a great way for those two guys to finish the season. Of course, they'll be teammates next year in a Castrol super team.
They effectively are now. It was Larry who built the Longhurst car. He'll be wishing he'd put a dud valve in it now.
That's not the way Larry operates, and it's certainly proven here today. That car has been so competitive.
Last lap board is about to go out for John Bow. 1 to go, Johnny.
Last lap board hanging in there. 6.2 kilometres to go for John Bow as he fills off the final lap of the 1994 Tooheys 1000. What a race it's been.
Well, the good Lord willing and the creeks don't rise. John Bow is on his way to the first Ford Falcon victory since 1981, I think he said.
Incredible, and as Wilco pointed out before, it was in fact Dick Johnson who gave Ford its last Falcon victory on the mountain. The guy who's had enormous success in Ford products. He really has been the Ford hero for a long, long time, and that loyalty will pay off here today.
I reckon you'll hear the boys going off at the top of the mountain. The Ford fans will be pretty vocal.
Well, it's been a pretty dry spell for the Ford boys over the years, through the very difficult years when the Commodores were dominant.
Well, they are still. If you look at the leaderboard, everything else in contention is Commodore.
Yeah, but, and they survive.
Dickie Johnson's prepared this car perfectly, and John Bow is flying.
What a reception. You can hear the roar from the crowd at the top of Mount Panorama.
Absolute jubilation across the top. The Ford flags are waving.
Of course, John Bow, Dick Johnson combined here in a Ford Sierra to win in 1989 as he just gingerly gets by.
You bite your nails when he's going up on those slower cars.
They won here in 89 in the Sierra. They're going to win here again today in a Falcon.
3 times a win for John. 2 times a win for John, 3 times a win for Dick Johnson.
Out of tyre power turn for the last time for John Bow, heading down to Conrod Straight.
And full credit to Ross Stone.
And let's see if we can join John Bow aboard the 17 Shell FAI Falcon. John Bow, how does it feel?
Oh, mate, what a race. What a race.
You've got it parcelled up now, son.
I think it's taken 10 years off my life. I've just got to say, though, that this car is just the best car that's ever been built in touring car racing. And the Dunlop tyres were just fantastic, and it's just, I mean, it's overwhelming.
All that is true, but Dick and yourself have done a mighty job. The checkered flag is out for you.
Here's the moment. Savour it, John.
John Bauer wins the 1994 Tui's 1000. Dick Johnson is absolutely jubilant, as you'd expect. Craig Lowndes and Brad Jones, a great job in 015 to finish second, holding up the Holden flag. And Larry Perkins, I believe, will come in third.
And the gap, 5.7 seconds ultimately between
the winning margin.
John Bauer and Craig
Dick
Lowndes.
Johnson, the media move in for their post-race interviews, and won't he be thrilled? See, they've really got the double whammy this year. They cleaned up in the Sandown 500. Johnny Bauer at the wheel. He's done the job for the boss again. Boy, no wonder he's got faith in that guy. Second place, great effort that.
So close for Brad Jones. You know,
big kiss from Bev Brock. And great effort from all those teams. That has been, without doubt, the most sensational Bathurst race I've ever seen.
What a wonderful contest. I believe we've got Richard Hay in the pits
with Dick
Dickie Johnson. Over to you, Richard.
Dick, what about that? What about that last few laps?
Well, about the last few, I reckon the last 30 is what I was looking at.
Well, I bet you wish you were in the car at some stages, didn't you, rather than watching there?
Well, I tell you what, it'll be less heart-wrenching being in the car than what it would standing here watching it, I can assure you. But I tell you what, I'd just like to congratulate Bradley Jones and Craig Lowndes. They did absolutely a magnificent job. It was a great contest.
And what about JB?
Well, what can you say about the guy? He's a Tasmanian, he's got a beard, he's got everything like that going for him. But he's a good guy, he drives very well, and he's a great part of a good team.
Presentation underway shortly. Let's check them out in full on the Shell race score. The winners, Dick Johnson, John Bauer for Shell FAI in the 17 Falcon. Second place, Brad Jones, Craig Lowndes for MobileNet Commodore in car 015. Third place, Perkins and Hansford in the Castrol Commodore car number 11. Longhurst and O'Brien in car 25. The final appearance for Benson and Hedges taking fourth place. Great effort. Win Percy, Russell Ingle in the Coke Commodore car 7 finished officially in fifth. Sixth place, Bond Olofsson for Winfield Racing, the only Winfield car to finish. Johnson and Grice in the second Shell FAI car finished in seventh spot. Great result for the team. And here's a great result. Crick and Tony Scott finishing in 8th position.
That's
in the Pinnacle
fantastic.
Motorsport entry car 24. Alaman Miedeke finished in 9th. Trimble Walden finished in 10th. 11th place in the race, and first in the 2-litre class went to Paul Morris and Alfred Hager in the Diet Coke BMW.
One of the happiest scenes here at Mount Panorama, and we're about to bring out the winners of the 2-litre class today, Paul Morris and Alfred Hager. 2-litre winners today.
Car just ran faultless all day, and especially Diet Coke and all the boys in the team in Yokohama for their really good tyres. Thanks a lot.
Good boy, Paul. Alfred, you enjoy the track and had a trouble-free run.
Yes, you know, I'm just coming from Germany, and I must say it's a great Australian spectators. Thank you very much.
Well done, Alfred. Third overall, Larry Perkins and Greg Hansford. This is almost like winning last year, the reception.
Yeah, it's a tremendous reception, absolutely tremendous. I'm absolutely happy as I could be. I mean, we didn't win. I must congratulate Dick Johnson and John Bauer. They did a superb job. And of course, Brad Jones and young Lounsey, they couldn't have done better. They were superb opposition. And of course, my co-driver, superb job, Greg. And obviously, Castrol and Dunlop is all did a top job. And lastly, but not least, my team. My car never missed a beat the whole day.
Second overall today, fabulous drive from Brad Jones and the Rookie of the Year, no doubt about it, 20 years of age, Craig Lowndes, second at first time at Bathurst. A fabulous drive, a very tough race, demanding conditions early this morning, but you've come through, and when you put that number on John Bauer, did you think you had it won?
No, this morning we put the car in the wall, and you know, I know how Brad felt, because the Sandown when Brad take the first corner. Thanks to the boys putting the car back together. I was down in dumps. I'd like to thank Mobile, Telecom, Bridgestone. The tyres were just fantastic. I'd like to thank Brad just for a good co-driver. He just drove all well.
Well done, boys. Congratulations.
Thanks,
I'd like to call on Paul Zerny. Paul's the marketing director of Tui's, promoters of the great race. Paul, come on in. A fabulous race, a fabulous event, and a great result.
Yeah, Tui's is very proud of its association with the great race, Mike, and days like today just build that pride even further. Congratulations to all the organisers. The event was superb. Congratulations to all the drivers. The entertainment all day was just magnificent, and it was just the great race.
Well done, Paul. Are you ready? The winners of the great race, Dick Johnson and John Bowe. I don't know if there's an experience in motor racing that can probably equate to winning Bathurst, is there? Truly?
Absolutely nothing, Mike. Nothing at all. And honestly, I'd just like to say to all our guys for a most fantastic car that they had, to Ross and all the boys, they've done a fabulous job. To Shell and to FAI, and especially to Dunlop, and also to Ford. The best car, it really is.
I mean, to think that all these people, there's no booze, they're all here and they're all supportive and they wanted to see a Ford win.
Well, it was a hard race, Mike, I tell you what, from start to finish, and that's what this sort of racing's all about. And 5-litre racing is here for a long, long time.
Well done, Dick.
Thanks. And I'd like to say thanks to my mate here, JB. What a fabulous drive.
John Bowe, who brought it on home. Johnny.
Thank you, Michael. It was a fabulous effort by all the crew at Dick Johnson Racing, Ross Stone and Jimmy Stone, Les Laidlaw, my mechanic on my car, and all the guys involved in it. It was a fabulous effort. I can't believe how good the car was, as I said. And our sponsors, Shell, FAI and Dunlop, we couldn't want any more. They are just wonderful people. So thanks.
John Bowe and Dick Johnson, the winners of the great race, and a Ford Falcon has won Bathurst.